Welcome to the Succeed Against the Odds podcast. My name is Francesca Anastasi, also known as Sabea. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I'm your host and mentor. And each week we bring you an inspiring person, an expert, or message, and some behind the scenes to help you ignite and unleash your potential. Thanks so much for listening. Welcome back to another episode of the Succeed Against the Odds show. Today, my guest is my dear friend, Vicki Fenn. Vicki is a coach. And Vicki, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
I'm happy to have you here on this podcast episode because I haven't really had a chance to talk to you in depth about what you do exactly as a coach. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let you tell our listeners what do you do as a coach and what is your specialty in that area?
Okay, great. Well, I have a number of different things that I do as a coach. So I've been coaching for over 35 years. And as I've been developing my client base, the work morphs into different things depending on what my clients have been looking for. So I can kind of split it into three categories. I work with business owners and do leadership development and empowering them to really have their businesses be optimally effective and profitable, and doing that with more time to themselves, more time with their families, and more joy and fulfillment in their lives. I have a group program for women that I run. That's an opportunity for women to explore a specific area of their life, but we look at all areas, and it's sort of a combination of life coaching and business coaching, because some of them have businesses, and that program is a 1-year program, and it's a combination of one-on-one coaching and group coaching. And I also do leadership development and team building. So sometimes I'm brought into an organization to work with somebody that maybe has just been promoted or is having difficulty with someone that they manage, and really support them to have a complete breakthrough really in the way that they view the people around them and the way that they are as a leader.
What would you say to someone who's not familiar with coaching or has not been exposed to it? What would you say would be the benefits to having a coach?
Oh, wow. So many benefits. When I started it, that's such a great question, Francesca, because when I started, I was actually working with a woman, and I was working for her, and she coached me, but I always had this experience that there was an agenda, that when she coached me, it was because if I got better, she'd make more money. I mean, it's a horrible way to think, but I never felt that sense of this person wants me to win for no other reason than to see me get what I want for myself. There's no agenda. There's nothing going on behind the scenes. So when I was first introduced to coaching, I realized that the opportunity of it was to provide people with someone that they could talk to who had no strings attached, no personal agenda for what they wanted in their life or what they did next, and could really listen to them and bring out what they most desire to have happen in their lives, and be a structure to ensure that they follow through. So there's several parts to coaching. It's the getting clear about what people want, and then really uncovering the things that have been in the way. So, we often hear people speak about the things that they want, and they don't often stop and ask themselves a question: if I want this so badly, why hasn't it happened yet? What's really going on that I don't have this yet? And those are the kinds of questions that we ask in coaching that help people to have a much broader access to the things that they need to be changing about the way that they think and the way they live their lives in order to really have the life they want.
So is that what inspired you to get into coaching? The fact that you were working with a person who's really wanting you to do better only as a self-serving experience for herself?
Actually, it goes back even farther than that. So I was in university. I was about 20 years old, and I was going to University of Alberta and studying business, and, felt completely alone and isolated. I remember standing on the campus and looking around and thinking, nobody would know if I didn't show up tomorrow, and no one would actually care. All of a sudden you're in lecture halls with 350 people, and you're nobody. You've gone from a high school where by grade 12, you know a lot of people, you have a lot of friends, and now nobody would really care if you showed up or not. And it was a very disturbing, lonely experience. And at the same time, my father was alcoholic, so we were going through some things in our family. So, I looked good on the outside. I looked like I had it all together. And on the inside, I was really, alone and didn't like myself, didn't feel, didn't have the confidence I wanted. I'd go to parties and wish that I could be like those people that seemed to be so out there and confident and connecting with people. And I guess one of my brothers, I don't know what it was that motivated him, but he told me about a program he'd done and encouraged me to do it. And when I was in the program, I thought, wow, this is actually what I want to do with my life. If I could help one person to change the way they feel about themselves and break out of where they're stuck and have a great life, boy, that would be the most rewarding work I could do. So I left that program, finished off my degree, pursued a lot of personal development work and training and leadership, and here I am.
So you talked about feeling invisible and then taking this program. At what point did you feel that you were not invisible anymore? Was it because you had taken that course? Is that what changed things for you?
Definitely. I mean, it was the beginning. So one of the things that happened is that I realized I wasn't alone. I was thinking that everybody else was more confident and self-assured than me. And I discovered that everybody else felt the same way I did. They just seemed to hide it really well. And you can't tell from looking at people what's really going on the inside. So the course definitely opened my awareness to the fact that I wasn't alone. And then I just pursued a lot of work to build my sense of self-worth and my confidence. And one of the things that I did to try and have a sense of control in my life was I would restrict my eating. So I would diet and count calories and exercise. And, so I was able to be really thin and control my life that way. But it's not a very healthy way to live. So I pursued a lot of programs then around body image that led to the next thing, And that's when I really began my work as a coach, was providing programs to empower women to be free of their body image issues. And then those women said to us, well, wow, we're feeling great about our bodies now, but, what else can you give us? And by the way, my sister, doesn't like herself. She doesn't have a body image issue, but she's not very happy. Could she come into your program? So our programs really expanded beyond body image. And we would have women coming in for all kinds of reasons. But what we were discovering was that it didn't matter what was bringing them to us, that in the end, we all want the same thing. So the conversations would be similar regardless of somebody's background or what specifically they thought they wanted to work on.
You also mentioned that you help your clients with leadership development. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, definitely. I love the book. Malcolm Gladwell, I think, wrote it. And it's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And that's what we see a lot in leaders, that they've developed, they've gotten good at what they're doing, they get promoted, and then all of a sudden everything that they've been doing isn't working for them anymore. So when I talk about leadership development, I really mean empowering people to be as effective as they can be in empowering the people around them. Their job in leadership, whatever it is, whether they're leading their own personal lives or a family or a team, a volunteer team, or a huge corporation, being self-aware and able to manage ourselves in the face of interacting and dealing with human beings who are always changing and all different. It's challenging. So working in leadership development is a way to really empower people to make the best influence and impact in the world that they can.
So if our listeners right now are, they're listening to this and they're going, okay, that sounds great. How do I get started? What is it that I could do right now? Is there a tip you could give right now that could be implemented to, whether it's a question that one can ask themselves or something they can physically do, something that can put them in that path of looking towards or improving or developing their leadership from where they are right now?
Mm-hmm. The first thing I think is recognize that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing about you that needs to be fixed. And to be somebody who says, hey, you know what? I want to be the best person I can be because I want to make the best impact I can in the world. That's a really powerful place to stand in. So whether you're, in a position right now at one extreme where maybe you've had some failures at work, maybe you've had a progress review and it wasn't what you had hoped for and you're feeling discouraged, or the opposite extreme where you're just excited about the next opportunity and want to develop yourself. It doesn't really matter where you are, because in the end, there's nothing wrong with you, and building self-awareness, learning new skills can only empower and benefit you going forward in your life. So, recommendation number one is not view it that you're a failure or there's anything wrong with you, but rather that what would it be like in your life if you were able to be your best self? What would your best self look like? And dive into those kinds of conversations, either with a coach. Yeah, well, I recommend coaching. I think books can be really valuable, but they don't provide sustaining change.
I think coaching, for a lot of people who have not tried it or have had a coach, sometimes can feel like they don't need it. Like they feel like, oh, coaching is not for me, it's for other people, or I don't need it. And I'll admit it, for the longest time, I was one of those people. I didn't think I needed a coach. I thought, I can do it myself. I'm smart enough. Then you get to a point where you realize that you're not moving forward anymore, and you can't figure out why, because you're doing everything but you're doing it and things are not moving in the direction that you want. You're completely stuck. The same as you've said, you get to a certain place in your leadership level where it got you there, but now what? It's not moving you forward anymore. And I found that it was coaching, having a coach, that made all the difference in the world. And so I'm a strong advocate and believer in coaching, having a coach in your life and in business. So thank you for having this as a business. Thank you for
my pleasure.
So I'm going to ask you what may or may not be a tough question.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, have you ever had, in your years of working as a coach, have you ever experienced a moment when you were working with clients where you were the one who got the big aha instead of your clients?
That's such a great question. Yes, that happens quite often, actually. I'll find myself coaching somebody in something and thinking, oh, wow, this is what I need to hear for myself right now. It happens quite frequently. It would be hard for me to say, yeah, there was one moment when that happened to me, because I have to say it happens quite often. And I think part of it is that I think this is what happens with coaching. We tend to attract people who are wanting to produce results or have breakthroughs in areas that, we can really relate to. So for example, I would attract a lot of women who are, dealing with self-confidence, because that used to be the big thing that I was fighting all the time, was self-confidence. And so we can relate, well to what their journey is. And sometimes the coaching that we're giving, a light bulb does go on about, hey, that's really what I need to do in this relationship in my life right now. So yes, it happens.
I like that. I think it's a two-way street. Like, we're helping clients, but at the same time, I don't think they realize how they help us in so many ways. It's kind of like a two-way street.
Oh, is it ever? And I just feel so grateful and blessed, really, for the people that I have the privilege of working with. When someone will come to me and be willing to be open and vulnerable and say, hey, this is an area that I want support in, it's just, it's such a blessing, because when we're open and vulnerable like that, that's when the best of us can come out, and then everybody around us benefits.
Sure. Do you have a routine that you do in the mornings or before you go to bed at night that you're willing to share?
Absolutely. Yeah. I shut things down technology-wise well before 9:00. I find I can't really settle down and get relaxed if I'm on the computer. So it's part of my routine to be sure I'm kind of off the phone, off the computer, trying not to respond to text messages late at night, and relax, read, do some reading or something that really winds me down, or I'll do Sudoku. If I really need to wind down, I'll have a bath and do Sudoku or something like that. And the morning routine, absolutely. I get up, get my tea, and the first thing I do, I spend a half an hour in prayer time. And I set the timer on my phone, and it's just really time when I connect with God, my God, and it makes a profound difference in my life. I'm always so grateful for the clarity that I achieve and the lack of confusion. Confusion goes away, and I feel empowered. And then I'm very athletic. So on the fun side, I have my girlfriends. We play basketball once or twice a week. I play competitive squash, and I mean, fun for me. Even though I guess a lot of what I've shared about today can sound pretty serious, I am all about fun. And if I don't have fun every day, my life doesn't work. So I include fun, in my schedule every day.
Yeah, and it's also good for those neurons. Totally important to have fun. I was just learning this recently. Like, you have to play every day. I'm like, really? Yes, every day. So I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Oh yeah, and I sometimes feel guilty. I think, wow, really, maybe you should work a little bit harder. And then I think, oh no, the reason why I'm effective in what I do is because I have that great sense of balance and have a lot of fun and laughter.
And you said it. Balance is the word, really. Even though sometimes it can seem so hard to put balance when we have hectic schedules and we got so much on our plate. It's so important to carve that time out, because that's what's going to make us more effective. At least that's what I'm finding for myself. Is I tend to take on too many big projects at once, as you know, and it's even more important during that time when I am super busy to make sure that there's that time that is away from the overwhelm and just do other things.
Oh yeah, it gives you such a different perspective. I'm sure you've experienced it. You take a break. My coach years ago used to say, when I was stuck, she would say, shut down your computer, hang up your phone, and go play squash. And I go, what are you talking about? I haven't produced any results today. I need to stay here, make phone calls. What do you think? She'd go, no, go and play squash. And I'd come back, and there'd be messages on my answering machine, people who were calling in wanting to participate in our program. So I know that when I take care of that part of my life, my energy shifts, and it's more attractive. People want to be around me. They want to participate in what I'm up to. So I tell my clients, it's not wouldn't it be nice if you had time? It's actually an essential. It's like you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth and you eat your breakfast. You have to have fun. You have to have play. You have to have that, those things that nurture you in your life. They're not a maybe.
Even if it's just a few minutes.
Oh, yeah. If that's all you've got, do it.
Now, I know I've done this myself, and I'm sure this is common. Like you said before, sometimes we think we're the only ones who are going through something, and everybody else seems to be having it all together. But that's not the case. We're all in the same boat. We all experience similar things. So I know I've done this in the past, and I'm sure it may happen again in the future, where, we get in our own way. Do you have any tips on how to get out of our own way?
Yeah. Well, first of all, even noticing that you are in your own way, that's the most important part right there. That's the first step. I think we are mostly unaware of how much our life is determined by the thoughts that we're having. So one of the things I do with my clients on a regular basis is have them spend time getting present to, what is it they say to themselves? What are they really thinking? And not just describing what they're thinking, but actually being able to write down the very words that they say to themselves. And it's quite shocking to do that, because you begin to realize that there's a constant dialogue going on, between your ears that for the most part isn't usually really encouraging, empowering, supportive dialogue. And so getting out of your own way is one of the most important things, is to become aware of actually what it is you say to yourself, because that is determining how you view the world, how you view the people around you, and therefore the actions that you're taking. So we're really limited by our own beliefs, which we've known forever that to be true. But this is actually there's actually real science in neuroscience now that helps us to be able to change those neural pathways in the brain so that we do get out of our own way.
great information. So let's talk to ourselves and examine what we're saying to ourselves.
Yeah,
So important to do that. It really is. And to catch ourselves when we're saying things that are not so nice.
absolutely.
Now, we talked about, you mentioned earlier, you were saying, people know what they want, but they don't know what's stopping them to get what they want. What about the people that don't know what they want?
Ooh,
How
great.
can we get them to figure out what it is they want?
Yeah. Well, and actually, you know what, Francesca, I find too that even people who think they know what they want, often after a session or two, discover that what they want is quite different than what they thought they wanted. So I would say we're, in a sense, starting from zero with everybody, in that I make no assumptions that what they come to me with as an assessment of what they want next might not really be what it is. So I do that work of asking those questions to discover. And the irony of it is that I also say that deep down inside, we do know what we want. So people who say, I don't know what I want, I challenge them over and over again. And sure enough, they do know what they want. So we say those things because maybe we think we can never have them, or when we've said them before, somebody laughed at us or said it was impossible, or we gave up, or, there's a whole number of reasons why we have those words come out of our mouth. I don't know what I want, but it's usually not true.
You're such a wealth of wisdom and experience, and this is amazing. I know our listeners are like, wow. So listeners, if you feel like you don't know what you want, or you know what you want and you're not getting to what you want, you need to get in touch with Vicki. Vicki, I know you mentioned earlier that you have your events. Can you share what happens at your events that happen a few times a year?
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate the conversations you and I had when I was dreaming these events up, because they kind of went against the rules. I had some rules about the way you're supposed to do events, but then I had a coach that kept saying to me, well, what is it you want to do? And I said, well, what I really want to do is create an event where women can come and, have a glass of wine and some appetizers and meet the other people that I work with, because I work over the phone so much, they never get to meet each other, and meet the very cool people I work with. It's just for women. So this is an event my male clients aren't invited to 3 times a year. And so it's an opportunity for women to come, share a glass of wine, meet each other. We do sort of a ice-breaking way to introduce yourself to each other. There's a kind of a commonality about it right away, and that a lot of them have been coached, so they have that sense of something in common with the other people in the room. It's also an opportunity for people who haven't worked with me to come and kind of have an experience of how I work. So after we've had a glass of wine and visited a bit, I do a talk. I pick a different topic relevant to whatever's happening. Might be seasonal. So my January talk is often around, what do you want to make happen in the next year? And I pick topics that are really relevant for women. And we engage in the talk. And sometimes I'll invite someone to be coached in front of the group. And there's always somebody who likes to do that. So you're never put on the spot. You get to experience what coaching is like. We go through an exercise, leaves you with something that really has you look at your life and the world differently. And then after that, we do some more socializing and a little bit more snacking and appetizers, and 3 hours just flies by.
I like it. It sounds very relaxed and very welcoming.
Yeah, it really is. That was what I had wanted to have happen, and I'm really delighted to see that's the impact. And it was really born out of recognizing that so many of the women I worked with were so amazing that I thought I'm being really selfish that they don't get to meet each other, and I wanted to create an event that would allow them to actually get to meet each other and find out that there's all these other cool women who are very like-minded.
Well, thank you for creating such a nice event and opportunity for women to get together.
Well, and thank you for your input, because you've inspired me in that too.
Well, I'm glad I played a little part in it.
Absolutely.
So Vicki, if people want to know more and find out more details about you, what you do and your events, where is the best place to reach you?
Well, 2 ways, or 3 ways actually. My phone number is 778-882-8911. My website is vickifenn.com. That's Vicki with all I's, and Fenn is FENN.com. And then you could email me at Vicki@vickifenn.com. People always get the Fenn. It's hard to hear. So it's F-E-N, like North, and like North. Those are 3 ways you can get a hold of me. And I love hearing from people. So please don't hesitate.
And Vicki, you take clients outside the local area as well? Because I know you do your coaching over the online, so on the phone or online.
Absolutely. Yeah. My group program, for example, I've got a woman in New York, another one in Ontario right now. I had someone who was sailing around the Caribbean and doing the coaching program from boat while she homeschooled her family. So they can be from anywhere.
And that's the beauty of coaching for both the clients and the coach. It's so flexible as far as location. You're not tied to a location.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your experience, your tips. So much in there. And I'm going to re-listen to this episode. And I know our listeners are going to benefit a lot from it.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please pass it on. And it would mean so much to me if you would leave an honest review on iTunes. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, embrace your magnificence.